As the Bahamas enters phase 5 of reopening, the Attorney General says it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Roadside vendors urge police to be lenient, plus a Jamaican national charged with attempted murder.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thank you for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. As the Bahamas heads into phase 5 of its reopening, Attorney General Carl Bethel says despite the COVID-19 risks, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Jasmine Brown has more.
As the Attorney General kicked off the 2020-2021 budget debate in the Senate on Wednesday morning, he noted some are apprehensive about the plans to reopen, given the fact that the COVID-19 crisis is far from over. However, he says the government has no other choice but to make that difficult decision.
We have to open the economy. As you all say, damn if you do and damn if you don't. But you'll be dead if you don't open your economy, because it's simply impossible to sustain life without economic activity. And you'll be dead if you don't protect yourself from COVID.
As the Bahamas began to record its first cases of COVID-19, the government moved quickly to implement stringent curfew and lockdown measures, including the closure of the borders in an effort to contain the spread of the virus. The Prime Minister announced on Monday that the country would be moving into the final phase of reopening.
The fact is, God willing, but up to now, essentially, we are COVID-free.
Bethel said despite the Bahamas moving into the final phase, it's no time for anyone to let their guards down.
You can't walk into a shop with your face bare anymore. You can't go on the beach until someone gives you permission. You can't party hardy in the disco right now.
He said now is also not the time for anyone to think they're invincible.
I just want to urge young Bahamians who think they're Superman and Superwoman, for the Lord's sake, watch what's happening. 60% of the new infections in our nearest neighbor from coast to coast are people under 30. Because young people think they're Superman and Superwoman. You're not Superman and you're not Superwoman. You must, young persons, you must obey and protect yourselves.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Travel restrictions have been lifted on countries that were previously restricted, meaning the Bahamas will be open to all travelers on July 1st. The travel ban list included China, Europe, the Republic of Korea, and Iran. There are over 9 million coronavirus cases globally. 306,000 cases have been confirmed in the UK, and there are over 83,000 cases in China. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the requirement for a COVID-19 negative test from an accredited laboratory is mandatory for all incoming nationals, residents, and travelers, and it must not be older than 10 days. The test results and Bahamas health visa are presented upon arrival. Well, some roadside vendors are urging authorities to be lenient as police warn that they have noticed a proliferation of illegal vendors. With more of this, here's Jared Hicks.
All these vendors, you all have to remember, they have a family,
40-year-old Wenzel Johnson makes his living selling peanuts, fruits, and juice on the side of Robinson Road. He says his operation is legal, but that hasn't stopped police from questioning him.
I go on and get it. They push me long time, I go on and get it, When I go and get it, they still try to hassle me. They still question me.
On Tuesday, a press release from the police noted that officers were aware of a proliferation of illegal roadside vendors throughout the streets of New Providence. The press release offers a list of 8 documents that vendors need to bring to police headquarters for permission. It warns that sellers without approval will be prosecuted. But Johnson thinks that's harsh, especially on young vendors.
You can't do that to the young youths them. You can cause the young youths them sell dope. You can cause the young youths them be easier to influence. Right now, some of these parents them, They have to keep running over to turn them out, but keep food in them out. The children them need to dry, hustle for their school clothes, or hustle for their things.
I feel like they shouldn't pressure people because everyone trying to make a living.
A roadside vendor near the sports center insists that she also has the right documents to ply her trade. However, she says getting the permit isn't so straightforward.
You have to go back and forth, you have to go to Roadside Park, you have to go downtown, then you have to go to this place down there, and then even when you put in your papers, they can't find. It's a lot of hassle.
Another vendor, 47-year-old Dorian Major, is only allowed to sell his crabs roadside at 6 locations around New Providence. He thinks the restrictions on road vendors are oppressive, especially given the conditions brought on by COVID-19.
How are you supposed to eat? And they don't, no jobs like that they go on. And the economy is so bad.
Johnson keeps his 16-year-old son close as he sells his fruits on the side of the road. He says it is important to guide him while he's young. He's also adamant that the authorities should find a better way to regulate people like him.
That's the hustle, that's all we know.
All right, thanks, Jared. Well, one of the men accused of robbing Rubis service station on camera was arraigned in the magistrate's court today. The Jamaican national was also charged in connection with several other robberies and attempted murder. Georgia Bain has more.
A Jamaican national is brought before the magistrate's court today, charged with a recent string of armed robberies for the month of June, including that brazen daylight robbery at Rubis gas station on West Bay Street. 22-year-old Shaquille Smith, also known as Shaq of Golden Gates No. 1, was charged with 5 counts of armed robbery and 1 count of attempted murder Wednesday afternoon before Magistrate Andrew Forbes. Smith told Forbes that he is a Jamaican national who came to the Bahamas on holiday and was due to return May 22nd. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, he was unable to travel. Smith was charged in connection with the June 9th robbery of Rubis West Bay Street. He was also charged with robbing Owen McCafferty, a customer at the gas station, of his wallet which contained $1,500. He is also accused of the June 3rd robbery of Denisha Brooks, where he allegedly made off with $200 and a pack of Aspen Green cigarettes valued at $10, property of Trey's convenience store. On the same day, Smith allegedly robbed 4G's convenience store of $955. The Jamaican was also charged with robbing McGrab convenience store of $761.59. His charge sheet also included the June 9th robbery of J&S convenience store, where he allegedly made off with $300, and the attempted murder of Samuel Strawn, the owner of J&S convenience store, who was shot during the robbery. Smith was allegedly armed with a handgun and concerned with another during all of the robberies. Co-accused Devin Carey recently faced similar charges. Smith was not required to enter a plea to the charges and was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. He is set to return to court on September 30th for the presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment. Before leaving court, Forbes provided Smith with an application for bail. Reporting for R News, I'm Georgia Bain.
Deputy Prime Minister Peter Turnquest says government's goal is to get state-owned enterprises to operate more like private sector agencies and eventually achieve cost recovery. Berthany McDermott reports.
Government is looking to get state-owned enterprises on the right side within 5 years, according to Minister of Finance Peter Turnquest, who said government has had diagnostics done on each state-owned enterprise in an effort to find ways to drive down the cost to taxpayers and increase revenue.
The consultancies have been done, and we've shared those results with these various entities. Some of them have agreed already that they will accept those recommendations and will implement some of those. Others we have to work on a little bit more in terms of making sure that the recommendations will actually work in the on-the-ground circumstances with respect to each of these organizations.
Last year, SOEs received a little over $413 million. Turnquest said recently government is aiming to shave $100 million per year over the next 4 years from its annual $400 million to state-owned enterprises. He added that those entities are inefficient, uncompetitive, and must retool fee structures and adopt new business practices to reduce their burden on government coffers. Turnquest said the COVID-19 pandemic has exposed weaknesses in some of these corporations, which he said may affect reform efforts.
And as we said, there's a combination of things that need to happen, both in terms of rationalizing expenditure, but also in terms of driving up the revenue and making sure that we get the maximum yield from these operations.
Government hope, he added, is that SOE reform will end in the corporation becoming self-sufficient and eventually aid in the fiscal consolidation plan.
Over the next 5 years, we hope that through these reform efforts, we'll be able to get these entities to operate in a more private sector type mode and rationalize the costs as well as all of the resources so that we can achieve that cost recovery that has been so elusive for so many years.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
More than a month after the European Commission blacklisted the Bahamas, Attorney General Carl Bethel says the Minutes administration will not allow the Bahamas' reputation to be maligned.
At the end of the day, this is not about the FNM or the PLP. This is about the Bahamas. This is about the quality of life of every Bahamian and the perception of this jurisdiction. And we will not allow those who seek to malign us to paint a picture of the Bahamas that is untrue. And we will fight with every fiber and ounce of our being to preserve, defend, and protect the reputation and the perception of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, because we are a decent country.
In early May, the European Commission officially added the Bahamas to its list of jurisdictions with strategic deficiencies in their anti-money laundering, countering the financing of terrorism regimes. Bethel says Bahamian officials are anxious to take up their concerns with the Financial Action Task Force.
The International Cooperation Review Group agreed to reschedule the delayed on-site as soon as the European borders are open and other borders are open that will permit international travel. So we are pressing for the FATF to agree to hold their on-site in time for the FATF to consider whether or not to actually delist the Bahamas at its October 2020 plenary.
Still to come, some Atlantis employees eager to return to work. Plus, some tourist attractions set their sights on locals. Stay tuned. Weeks ahead of Atlantis Resort's phase reopening, some maintenance workers say they've heard nothing from management. After being home for months, they say they are cash-strapped and need to get back to work ASAP. Jillian Gray reports.
After not working for nearly 4 months, employees in the maintenance department at Atlantis say they're at their wits' end, claiming NIB payments have slowed down and the help from the hotel union was not enough.
In 3 months, $100 could take care of you for 3 months? It cannot happen, especially when you is a plump fella like me, and I don't like cheap food.
Because our unemployment benefit has not been consistent. As a matter of fact, this week would make 4 weeks if we don't get paid. Now it'll make 4 weeks since we haven't been paid. You know, and all this talk about social service assistance and everything, it's not happening on a consistent basis.
The workers are calling on the Director and Minister of Labor to step in to assist. Dave Beckford said he's been surviving by getting assistance from nonprofits like the Salvation Army. Meanwhile, Leslie Humes, who has been with the resort for 36 years, said he's been doing small, odd jobs in order to get by.
If HR doesn't call you, then you're still furloughed. But if you're opening up July 7, I'm a gardener. When you can call me to work.
I built this company for these people to come to work, and these expats what are there now, and they slapping me up like I was a puppet. I prefer to be home or make my severance pay available so I could go in peace.
An Atlantis representative responded to the concerns of the employees in a statement and said that during the closure of the resort, a limited number of full-time employees from the landscaping department were retained to assist with the maintenance of the resort. In preparation for the resort's reopening on July 7th, additional employees from this department have been called back to work. The resort said team members will be called back in correlation to the resort's occupancy and operation level and will receive thorough and comprehensive training, including Atlantis's new clean and safe promise, health, well-being, and safety protocols. Those weren't the employees' only concerns. They also questioned if the company has decided to discontinue its bus transportation for workers.
They need the bus. Plenty of hotel workers then call me. They don't know how they're going to get home. They don't know how they're going to get to work. So I just feel like they just need to step in and try to deal with the situation because it's going to be a problem.
The Atlantis rep said the discontinuation of the shuttle bus was a difficult decision that they made due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The hotel union has said it is still in talks with officials to have that service reintroduced. Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
Well, with some major hotels remaining shut until fall and certain restrictions put in place for locals and visitors alike, it's going to be a while before we see the tourism industry bounce back. As a result, many tourism stakeholders are shifting their focus to locals.
We've been closed since March until now, and so basically we've had no business, period. So it's been devastating for all of us.
For months, Junkanoo Beach, just like Bay Street and Paradise Island, has been a ghost town. And with hotels like Bahamas and Sandals remaining closed until fall, many who work within the tourism industry are concerned about the effect it will have on their business. Byron Austin, owner of Tiki Bikini Hut, is preparing to reopen on Monday. Though borders reopen to commercial flights next week, he will depend heavily on the local dollar.
We're going to have to come up with other ways and means to create revenue. So for me, I'm going to focus mostly on the local market and see how we can wow them. Basically what we did was we created like safe spaces. So we created these 4 cabanas. We're going to have maximum of 5 persons in each cabana. Also, we have other spaces that we're going to utilize on the beach.
Beaches reopen on Monday, but restrictions are not welcome news to some visitors with already planned trips, as seen in the comment section of a Ministry of Tourism Instagram post. One tourist wrote, "Requiring a negative COVID test result means we will be canceling our July 3rd to 6th trip across Bimini. 16 people staying home." Another wrote, "Might have to reevaluate our August trip," to which the Ministry of Tourism responded, "Thinking about coming earlier?" But the potential guest wasn't having it, saying, "Canceling our August trip." Another found the requirement of mask wearing funny, saying, "Masks on vacation in the Bahamas? LOL, no." But with a reduced number of visitors coming to our shores, establishments like Blue Lagoon, known for its day-away beach and water activities, are focused on locals, offering special discounts. The attraction is now set to reopen on July 11th.
And so what we're doing to encourage Bahamians is we're offering an additional 20% off our already discounted Bahamian prices for the beach day packages. So if you book and pay online, you're going to get a really sweet deal.
Blue Lagoon Public Relations Manager Jessica Robertson says because of reduced business numbers, they will only open on Thursdays and Saturdays for the month of July. She added there will be some changes like set departure times, pre-booking, and going cashless to ensure the safety of visitors, locals, and employees.
We'll also have guests wearing masks in accordance with the law in certain spaces. So on the boats, when you come into our welcome center here, any enclosed area, and in places we'll have physical markers on the ground.
Progressive Liberal Party Senator Dr. Michael Darville has accused the Minnesota administration of botching its Hurricane Dorian response and threw his support behind calls for a coroner's inquest into the Dorian deaths. Darville said the response was dismal and Abaconians and Grand Bahamians are still suffering as a result.
Dr. Stein laid the case out clearly downstairs about the government's mismanagement of Hurricane Dorian, and he was right. He was right to call for a coroner.
Yes, he was.
He is also right for an independent investigation because the truth of the matter is you dropped the ball during the preparation for Hurricane Dorian.
Former Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands recently gave a scathing assessment of the handling of the missing persons registry and insisted the government needs to apologize for the myriad of mistakes that were made. Dr. Darville went even further in the Senate, insisting the process is still being mismanaged.
When a new minister, a highly paid managing director, a CEO, a chairman, a deputy chairman, and they bumping into one another.
I know you will.
Just looked at the state of and Grand Bahama. These two communities are in devastation and practically abandoned. And from the looks of it and this budget that you keep holding up, ain't nothing in the place.
Still to come, the vision behind Inspirational Independence t-shirts. Stay tuned. You're watching Our News. Welcome back. A local t-shirt company is offering special Independence t-shirts with inspirational messages. David Hanna and Lauren Russell are the co-founders of And David Designs. Hanna tells us the company is dropping a We Bahamian collection that will reflect the challenging times the country has faced following Hurricane Dorian and now COVID-19.
We wanted to create a timeless piece that was reflective of the current times that we're in with COVID-19, but also something that depicts who we are as Bahamian people in difficult times. And so we as Bahamian, even in difficult times, we are united, we are unbroken and unstoppable, which is reflected in the shirt.
Russell explained what sets And David apart from other companies.
Although, there are many beautiful independence designs, I'm sure you can think of many popular companies, but we wanted to kind of carve out a different market, one that focuses on simply positive messaging. Of course, it needs to be beautiful, very aesthetically appeasing, but our goal is a positive message during a very, very critical time, celebrating our independence and also given the current climate.
Still to come, fitness pros change the way they operate. The details after this break. Finally tonight, news fitness professionals making adjustments as social distancing forces change to the industry. Marcellus Hall reports.
Well, when the way you make your living relies a lot on being in close proximity, having social distancing can kind of mess that up. Well, one of our local trainers, finding her reality has changed a bit, saying she had to make the adjustments. Takal Quant, aka Bowflex Bobby, like other trainers, has been affected by social distancing and the shutdown of local gyms. She spoke about just that.
It was definitely a shift. I've been online for the last 5 years with some of my programming, so it was just a matter of shifting everything to online. So I was still doing personal training, group classes online, and challenges, and I also branched off into products last year, which are very home workout friendly, so that was able to kind of keep me busy, keep me going through this time.
She added that even when gyms reopen, there will be an adjustment to the way things are done.
We know that sanitation is going to be huge, making sure that each individual plays their part as far as, cleaning and sanitizing equipment before and after use. And then obviously the gym staff is going to have to be a little bit more, on top of keeping things clean, keeping things sanitary. And with the social distancing, I think for larger gyms, it is going to be, a bit of a challenge as far as, a lot of the cardio equipment is so close together. And even just the flow of traffic through the gym is going to have to be a lot on, the individual to, be responsible and to, distance responsibly. But I think, once the individual gym goers are able to, kind of play their part, I think it'll be okay.
So as like everybody else, even personal trainers and gym owners finding ways to keep their livelihoods going. Reporting for Our News, I'm Marcellus Hall.
Thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Kyle Joaquin. Remember, you can catch Our News on the go with the Revico Play app. Stay tuned for an Our TV special on agility in the new reality. Have a good Wednesday evening, Bahamas.